Welcome to Sunday afternoons and the Simpademic, and I've got one here for you from Emily King again. Let me play the tape.
Does a guy ever hit on you and it genuinely hurts your feelings because of how much of a loser they are? Like, the fact that you think you have a chance with me is like the worst insult anyone has ever given me.
He's out of your league. I don't need to know anything else. It's very clear that if you're getting offended by somebody approaching you and based on how they look, because obviously this is all about how they look, if that's how you think, then looks is not something that you need to work on. You got plenty of other stuff to work on.
Does a guy ever hit on you and it genuinely hurts?
I get this question all the time. And the question is this: why have men lost their confidence? Why have men quit approaching? I'm qualified to speak on this subject because I'm one of those men. And I will add in that Anna Jorgensen, your wingman, has also said before that, men have lost their confidence. This is why. This is why. We have women out there on social media, and I know that we talk about rage. I've talked about rage farming and things like that, but these videos and women are real, and they're really posting this stuff out there, and it doesn't even take that many of them. It doesn't take a whole bunch of rage farming for this point to soak across the male demographic. And if men believe that women are all like this, or if they see enough of this to believe that most women are like this, they're not going to think that they're good enough. And if they don't think they're good enough, then they're not going to approach. And a woman like this is going to sit there in 10 to 15 years and also be posting on TikTok, "Where are all the good men?" Well, I'll tell you what, you ran them off because you shot them down, you stole their confidence, and you took away any motivation for them to approach you at all. And even worse than that, the men that you want approaching you, you're not qualified for. A woman like this, these high-value men that most of these hypergamous women tend to believe that they should just waltz into life just because they're them. Alpha males will not choose you. Because number one, if you're an ugly person, it's not attractive to anybody. Number two, alpha males have their pick of the litter. They have their pick of the field. It would be like having the number one draft pick in the NFL draft. You can pick anybody you want. So alpha males are basically sitting there with the number one draft pick. And you know how much thought goes into those draft picks if you watch football at all. If you watch the NFL, you know that there's a lot of thought, deliberation, and analyzing goes into that decision. Alpha men who have their pick of the lot sometimes go through the same thing, and some of these, top 5% men, they're not going to want anybody in their life who's going to cause them problems. That's like the Raiders drafting Jamarcus Russell back in the day. Because he had a big cannon arm and he had a strong arm. But he wound up being lazy and poisonous to them. These men out there with the number one overall pick don't want to get in the same situation as the Raiders did with Jamarcus Russell. They're not going to pick a woman who's going to be a liability. And, these Chads and Tyrones, they can pick whoever they want. They not only can pick whoever they want, but they can even set the terms. In professional football, of course, in the NFL, the terms are already set in that particular case. But, the Chads don't have to give the women everything that they want or always say yes to them. They have the power and they can set the terms. And if you don't qualify to be a number one draft pick, you're not going to be a number one draft pick. The sooner women can realize that, the better it is going to be for them. This is a case of these women in specific needing to be better. They need to take a hard look at themselves. And I actually watched a video on this one. She's not really... She's not a 10. I mean, she's not even a 5. The woman in this short is maybe a 3 or 4 at best. And she's running around here presenting herself as a 12 that men have no chance with. Lady, your value is not that high. Your value is mid at best. And yet men go on looking at you and believing that they're not good. You know, the average men such as myself are looking at videos like this and thinking, well, you know what? Maybe I don't have a chance. Why bother? Women like this, you know, combined with the rage farmers who farm for these content through AI, are feeding the MGTOW movement. As I mentioned in a previous video, the MGTOW movement and the extreme feminist movements are really two opposite extremes of the same pea pod. They are causing our fertility rate to plummet. Not just the United States, but really any country in the West. There are no Western countries at this point with a replacement rate or fertility rate that will sustain the population. Our population naturally is going to decline. And immigration can only fix a certain percentage of that. It can never possibly cure the problem. Excuse me, I'm thirsty and my throat itches, but so in short, these women need to really improve their game. And as Emily said, she said that looks are not something that they need to be thinking about. I disagree. I don't think she looks great at all. But anyway, these women are fueling the MGTOW movement. They are fueling our demographic decline. They are feeding their egos, which are already overinflated to begin with. And as Joseph Tinley once said on Hell's Kitchen, these women can speak for themselves. They know who they are. Their results are going to be on the order of disaster. They're going to look back on these TikToks in 10 years and realize that they really screwed it up for themselves and for everybody else. So if you're a woman who takes this particular tack or angle, I implore you to be better. Because you are sucking the motivation out of men everywhere. And when you're alone, when you're 45 and you've got all your cats, you're going to be like, well, what's the problem with these men? What's the problem? No, they're not the problem. You are. Looking at you. You are. That concludes this rant. I'm in Minnesota here. It was minus 20 last night. For my friends in southeastern Texas, 5 inches of snow coming your way. I never saw 5 inches of snow when I was growing up in the Katy, Greater Katy, or something that's called the Katy Metro region of western Houston. I think the most snow that they've ever had was, I believe, 3 inches. That was Christmas Eve of 2004. They speak of Christmas Eve of 2004 just like Minnesotans speak of Halloween of 1991. It's their signature weather event. even more so than any of the hurricanes that have passed through the region, as I've mentioned before. Only one hurricane has ever reached the Katy region at hurricane strength, and that was the Galveston hurricane of 1900. But anyway, I digress. Enjoy your Sunday. For those who have the day off tomorrow, enjoy a peaceful Martin Luther King holiday. Remembering that he's the man who really strove to bring true equality. Allow us to judge each other by the content of our character, not the content of our skin. A phrase that I've always carried with me. So anywho, peace out. Signing off. We'll see you tomorrow night for the Monday night edition. You all have a good weekend and stay warm.